offer is what you're talking frustration, and I feel it, and you're talking frustration on two things. One, the models aren't helping you get quant data, right? Why? Because it's, well, what's likelihood? I don't know, 10%? Does that sound good to everybody in the room? Yeah, it's 10%, great. You have nothing, there's no structure to get you at that. There's a basic theorem, and that says if there's a model, right, and you and I both are given the model, the way to execute an outcome of the model in the same data, you should be able to go in that room, I should be in this room, we should have cones of silence, and we should come out with relatively similar results. Maybe our Monte Carlo simulations will be slightly different or whatever, but we should have relatively similar results. There are very few, let me back off of that because I know a couple of people with good models, but there are very few risk management programs that are that sophisticated yet, and very, very, very few models that you can do that with. Very few. So Varus was built. Now when I say it's freely available, varusframework.wiki.zoho.com. It's all right there. Yeah, it's linked all over the report. In fact, we have little call-outs and we talk about the data collection strategies and so forth. So you have a model problem. You also have, the models also give you context, right? So one of the reasons why we don't know where to go because the models are ridiculous as well. So there are several problems, and it just takes kind of a rational, critical thinking moving forward. Yes, sir?
I was just going to ask, you don't have a list of successes.
Right.
You don't have a list of what works. So how do you know, percentage-wise, are you saying that because this attack happened over here and nowhere else, I can use the other?
No, sir. No, sir. And that is one of the most wonderful problems I think we have. I think as an industry, we really have one big problem, and that is quantifying the effectiveness, efficacy, people use different words, but of a control, right? Because it's no longer 100%. You have a complex system of controls, which is why I think PCI is a model. You have a complex system of controls because you have Maginot lines. In this year's data breach report, out of people who were had PCI concerns, 90% of them were compliant with end-to-end encryption, or encryption of data in transit, which is, you hear this end-to-end encryption is going to solve it all. No, it's another Maginot line. It's just like port 80, it's just like your AV. They will adapt. It's a complex, adaptive system. Anyway, back to what you were saying. That's why I'm very interested in like Gene Kim's work of visible ops for security. I'm talking about effectiveness. It's got to be evidence-based. It's got to be studied. That's one of what my risk team and my intelligence team is, what we're working on as well, and trying to figure that out. The other thing that's interesting is you think about the ability to prevent, detect, and respond. And one of the things that I'll assert is that there is, for an intelligent attacker, for somebody you have to actually worry about, there is no first level prevent. And you have prevent, detect, and respond. And the first level detect and respond only gets you to a second level prevent if you're good enough, right? And event modeling can show you that. But the point being, detect and respond we can get success metrics. That's why I love penetration testing now after hating it for so long. That's why I believe in red team testing. That's why I want to understand if we can put models together in a business warehouse and track effectiveness of spawned processes, automated spawned processes, and so forth. Excuse me. I get passionate.
It's cool. It's cool. Settle down. So it can be done. It probably will be done. I mean, this is, I think, the Varus framework's come a long way, Alex, but it's still in early stages.
Oh, it's still very, very, very early.
We're still in the problem of, if you're trying to do pattern detection, you have to, at least in retrospect, after some amount of time, know if you made a right versus wrong decision, right? So after some time, more sophistication in data, more data, I think that it will become clearer what the success stories are. So in transaction modeling, in fraud, for example, we have to know at the end of the day whether we made right or wrong decisions, because it costs us money either way. So since we're trying to optimize those decisions based on a couple of factors, but those factors become money for us very quickly, we want to be very precise, right? If we were highly, highly risk averse, and there was no cost to, say, declining good transactions to us, then we would optimize our models in order to minimize loss as low as possible, right? But obviously, when you cut off a good transaction, that costs you a lot as well. So finding that balance point then becomes the challenge. But right now, I think we're still in kind of not out of the woods yet as far as what are the patterns that we're trying to isolate. And so as we get better at that, then we'll get better at, there's the patterns we're trying to isolate, and they're differentiated from the rest of operations, which, if they're not the patterns we're trying to isolate, is probably the good stuff, if that makes sense. Great.
Which is why I was stoked about the one guy with the data warehouse.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Preventing Zeus.
How many terabytes of data?
Lots.
Hadoop clusters.
Yep. But that's why I'm stoked about that, because Zeus infections that are ACH transfers, that'll ruin a business. That'll end careers, that'll ruin lives. And he's stopping it because he's doing pattern matching. He understands what's going on, and he's got a very good success rate. So anyway, yes, sir. Sure, and I've got actually several years of experience in training that. I will tell you that for financial institutions, security departments, I've seen it be very easy. Depending on the bureaucracy involved and how big the security department is, and if everybody's playing ball and the CISO really says this is how life is going to be or else, it can be really easy. We've done 2-day trainings for sophisticated risk models and had success. We've done, kind of a couple morning trainings on the Verus framework. We're developing software for training that's going to make it even easier for folks. So it can be done fairly easily. Just depends on kind of the width of the security department and the breadth of the training that you're giving. Yeah, I do, and I don't have any answers for you other than the fact that if there are already people I know that there are people who are committed to sharing data. And one of the things that I hope to do is to be able to evangelize, I use the word, sorry everybody, but I hope to be able to show people, well look, this is really informative. I'm glad you spent all this money, but look how much better it gets with comparative analytics, right? And guess what? Yeah, there's a data set that you can get for free. Verizon's always going to give you something free. But if you want real-time operational stuff, right, you're going to have to share back. And that's just the way it's going to be. It is going to be a meritocracy. And that's how I hope to approach it. Will it work? I have no idea. I'm optimistic, and so far, senior management at Verizon is, full steam ahead.
Doesn't work, we'll try something else.
That's true. Is that it?
Going once. Going twice. Just kidding.
I'm at Alex Hutton on Twitter. If you want to send me something, you can just do the, hey, at Alex Hutton had a question about your stuff, and I'll get right back to you. It's pretty easy. If you do it if you do it tonight or immediately after, I can't verify the usefulness of my answer because pretty spent at this point. And I have a rendezvous, I think, with like the Seahorse or the Galleria bar.
And I'm at Selena Kyle, not to make it confusing, since that's not my name. Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate it.